That's a little bit better. One more time. Good morning, everyone. Very good. How is everyone doing this morning? We are here for another 1 million cups, and we are excited to hear from two wonderful presenters this morning. And so my name is Aaron Wiggum, and I am the director at New You, which is a new program to help diverse talent imagine, discover, and actualize a 2.0 version of themselves. And we're excited for that program and what's going on with that. And we wanted to just take some time right now at 1 million cups to make sure that our ecosystem is vibrant and is well and is collaborative. And so this is the time when we spend once a month where we get to hear each other's ideas, we get to give constructive criticism, and we get to find out what each other are working on. And so we have two wonderful presenters today. They are truly entrepreneurs. They work around the clock, and they're trying to really get their ideas, their thesis into play. And so we ask for some constructive criticism today as we have this discussion. Is that all right? Very good. Just some real quick house rules. We have bathrooms just down the hall here if you've never been here before. We also want to thank our sponsors, 36 Degrees North, Devin Laney and his crew. And we want to thank all of our leadership team, which is Ethan Harkey right here. There's Tara Payne, Mitch Sims, who is traveling right now, and Sean McCroskey, who's probably on his way, and myself. We are the ones who bring you 1 million cups each month. All right. Last bit of news. We like to call 1MC a dolphin tank, not a shark tank. So this is a way that we all collaborate together. So if we can just make sure that our critiques are constructive, that would be extremely welcome. All right. Y'all ready to get the party started? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Are you ready to get the party started? Yeah. All right, here we go. Last thing, we do have some coffee over to the side, which was provided by none other than Antoinette's Baking Company. So help yourself to some coffee that they provided. And so let's get to our first presenter. We have a wonderful young lady who has just been extremely helpful. I found her in different parts of the ecosystem, just finding her hands busy doing something to help somebody else. And that's actually how we kind of collided, and we keep colliding. And so it's just a wonderful thing to see people who just want to pick up a shovel and help, right? And so I just want you to take a moment, put your hands together for none other than Haley Mortimore.
Thank you, Aaron. Good morning, everyone. My name is Haley Mortimore. I am a somewhat new resident of Tulsa by way of Boston, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about my company, Sage Outcomes. So before I jump into it, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and why I should be speaking on this topic at all. So I started my career in psychology and neuroscience research. I was hired on to test the safety and efficacy of a lot of different consumer neurotechnology devices, which is a fancy way of I shot electrical pulses through people's brains and tested to see what happened. I absolutely loved my work in that field, but I really got interested in why people were interested in those types of products, because these were startups and they were marketed towards consumers. What made people interested in these products? Why did those startups fail? What would make a startup successful? And what made products work well with their target audience? So I started working in market research to really explore that avenue more. After working in market research in different startup companies for a couple of years, started my own company to take all of that hard work and sweat that I was giving towards other people's dreams and put it towards my own, where I could directly help people who were in need of it. Since founding my company, Sage Outcomes, I've been working with over 75 clients globally to help them conduct their own market research, talk to their target audience, and learn more about their industry. In addition to my company, I'm also an entrepreneur in residence with Build in Tulsa, which is a local organization helping founders and entrepreneurs within the ecosystem. And then I'm also a strategic advisor to Fast Focus, which is a novel market research platform aimed at making market research a little bit more accessible and affordable. So what is the problem that I'm presenting? So market research and startups in general have a couple of different problems that make conducting research or just really identifying gaps in the market really difficult. So businesses are often operating without data. There are so many companies that I talk to, or so many entrepreneurs and founders who build their product before even testing to see if there's a need for it. You're operating off of gut feeling, maybe bad feedback from loved ones, or just no feedback at all. And sometimes those who do collect data, the results are hard to interpret, they maybe aren't reliable, and not certainly enough to use to base off of thousands of dollars towards a product or a company. And those who do market research, it's incredibly expensive and it can be very rigid. Oftentimes these projects cost between $20,000 to $50,000, and that's just to tell if your audience is going to like your product. Very simple, and you're not getting a lot for your money. And these projects often take 6 months. And if you're an entrepreneur looking to get your product into the market sooner than everyone else, 6 months means a lot of time. So it's not very nimble as well. Another problem that I found, especially here in Tulsa, is that there is no way for local businesses to conduct market research efficiently and in a sophisticated way within their local economy. It's very easy to conduct market research on a national or a local audience, but when you're trying to talk to people who are in your neighborhood, really the only avenue is to go door to door, pass out flyers, maybe post a question on social media. So there's really no efficient way to collect valuable good data. So what's the solution to this? We need market research firms that are accessible to all, transparent in the process and what you're getting out of it, and flexible. So meeting with entrepreneurs who can maybe want to be a little bit more scrappy, do some of the work themselves, learn about the process, and do it in a quicker period as well. So really, before I jump in a little bit further, I'll kind of talk about what market research is. So market research is any set of techniques used to collect information to better understand the company's target audience. So this can also be done to collect information on an industry, finding patterns and trends, learning more about customers and prospective customers, and really what their pain points and challenges are. You can use them to test new product and business ideas. You can use them to improve existing services, understand gaps in the market that you can hopefully fill, and then learn market and industry trends. So I'd like to think that my company fits the solution. So I operate Sage Outcomes for flexibility, accessibility, and transparency. I work with a lot of mission-based organizations and those who are looking to do equity-focused work and help them conduct market research to help them improve their market, their world, or their target audience. Some of the services that I offer are research design and consultation. So some people like to execute themselves, so I really help them get the tools and resources and a plan on how to execute and conduct it themselves. Also do survey design, user interviews and focus groups, help with all of the recruitment and data collection, data analysis, and report writing. So really everything from start to finish. Why is market research and this type of work really important? Well, I already kind of highlighted some of the reasons, but one of the biggest examples is so many startups fail. This is for a lot of reasons: not access to capital, not building the right team, but also not understanding if there's a need in the market, or understanding your target audience's needs is a big reason why startups aren't successful. So it's always a good idea to test and validate your business idea before you get started. You also want to be able to price your product effectively. So with market research, you can understand what price points people are willing to pay, whether or not they're willing to pay, and what they expect out of that payment. And you can also hear feedback directly from your target audience. So user interviews, focus groups are great, and surveys are a great way to ask your audience, what problem do you have in your life, and how can I potentially solve it? And then this is how I partner with local businesses. So really this is kind of a standard market research project, but it really goes from defining research objectives, which is really the most important part. What do you need to have answered from this research? What must you have as an outcome so that you can more meaningfully take that data and use it towards actionable results in your business? So defining the research objectives, implementing a survey or user interview, distributing, so collecting that data, fun part, data analysis, and then synthesizing those results and using them to make actual insights and actionable steps. So the market opportunity. So there's over 3 million small businesses in America. Small businesses make up the most amount of employers in the United States. And I want to focus on more businesses within Tulsa. There's question marks here because as part of the problem with market research in local economies is there's really no way to understand the local market. So I don't myself know how many companies that I could be a great resource for, and that's why there's a really big need for market research options within small economies and local towns. So whatever that number is, I plan to take 10% of it. I've identified my competitors, so there are some DIY platforms and solutions available for those who are looking to do things a little bit more bootstrapped and scrappy. And there's also massive research institutions like Gallup and Kantar who are already collecting this data, but maybe on a more political or national audience. And then there's also corporations like Nielsen, Numerator, and Ipsos who focus on consumer insights, but are incredibly expensive. And then local market research firms who are also located just here in Tulsa. Looking ahead, so I talked about a problem of conducting market research within the local community. I plan to build a SaaS platform that will help local businesses and entrepreneurs talk directly to residents within their community. So on this platform, residents would be submitting polls and completing feedbacks, almost like comment box style, of things that they need within the community. Those entrepreneurs and business owners would have real-time access to the data that's collected. And then people would also be able to do concept testing. So if an entrepreneur wants to start a new restaurant, build a product that's aimed to solve a need within the direct community, they would be able to test that concept through standard market research, but for a very local audience. And this would have community-driven solutions. So we'd be giving data and putting it in the hands of businesses and residents for them to do good with. And my ask of the community is if you have a question, if you have a product that you're looking to put out, if you want to learn more about market research as a whole, sign up for office hours here, or you can simply just reach out to me and contact me on my website or find me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you everyone so much for listening, and I'm moving on.
Stay up here, you're still on. So, questions? Who wants to kick us off? All right, so we have 1, 2, 3. Haley, I'm just going to ask for the people online that you repeat the question after this.
Sure.
Thanks. Brenton.
Yeah, so amazing product. My question is to you, once you have your platform built, are you hoping that the company as well as the consumers are on the platform to get the research from them?
Yeah, so the question was, is the aim to get companies and the local residents on the platform, is that right? Yeah, so my hope, I'm figuring that out a little bit, but definitely want the residents engaged, making it a fun and interactive process for them to be able to submit surveys and polls. I do plan to give local businesses and entrepreneurs access to the portal, completely anonymized data, but something that they can themselves tap into, comb through the data, see what's meaningful to them, and assist them in making sure that they're interpreting the data right and using that to make business decisions.
Gentlemen, right here.
Let's say I'm a first-time entrepreneur. I don't have a budget, maybe no money. I just have an idea. Is there going to be any kind of service that's oriented towards that kind of business?
Yeah, there's a lot of low-cost options. You can certainly do things kind of on a free base where you're going more door-to-door style, catching people as they're walking around. There's also ethnographic research. So if you're looking to fill a need in, say, this co-working space for entrepreneurs, you can sit here, see how people are interacting with maybe a computer, or let's say you're trying to design a new chair, seeing how people are interacting with that product and taking notes that way. Getting feedback from friends and loved ones is always good, as long as you take that with a grain of salt, but it's a really great place to start so that you can have some data to move forward.
Alan?
What kind of industries have you worked with before specialized?
Okay, so the question was, what kind of industries have I worked with before and specialized? I've worked with a lot of industries. I've touched most industries, but I focus on individuals who are working on mission projects or equity-focused work within those industries. So I might be working with mortgage companies, but those who are looking to implement D&I solutions or make the mortgage industry more equitable. I also work with consumer packaged good companies, a lot of healthcare companies who are looking to address issues within a certain patient population. Yeah, I kind of get my hands on a lot of different pieces.
Right.
Hi, this is really exciting. Thanks for sharing. I work with a lot of research currently, and a lot of like the barriers to doing so is the cost of, say, a brand new study, which you mentioned. And it seems like you have a really unique opportunity to like bring that figure down along with community, which is also a common challenge. How do you think the platform might be service that?
Yeah, I think that it's
Give me the question.
Oh, yes. Okay, so the question was how to decrease the barrier of high costs. Was that about right?
Yeah, I lost like people access.
Yes. Recruitment is the hardest part of any research. This is something I faced in neuroscience research. It's something I often face now. Fortunately, I've just been working in that space for so many years. I found some tips and tricks to identify, but it's really understanding incentives. So why do people want to complete your research? What can you do to incentivize them to make that more appealing while still keeping it low cost? So oftentimes, depending on the type of research you're conducting, you can get people in on more of a charitable or mission base. So you're helping them feel like their voice is heard. That's a big incentive. And it's also just trying to find creative solutions on where those people are instead of going through traditional panel providers, which can cost $200 to talk to one person. And that's before you're even paying them or conducting research. So it's finding them through creative means, social media, maybe that company's already had interactions with them in the past, or simply finding other incentives that might still be at lower cost, but still incentivizing for them to complete.
Right here. And then we'll come to Tammy.
Hi there. I'm kind of curious about the nuts and bolts of survey design, data analysis. Is that mostly a qualitative process, or are you using psychometrics like IRT, classical test theory?
Yeah, so your question was, what are the nuts and bolts, or what is the kind of mechanism behind surveys and data analysis? Really depends on the research aims. So what are the goals of that research? If someone's looking to understand, who is that type of person? It might be a blend, so you'll be asking standard demographic questions, age, gender, household income, location, those kinds of things, which are quantitative. But you might want to blend it with more qualitative of, what are your problems that you're facing? How do you feel about this topic? How do you feel about that product? So that may be a user interview. Oftentimes I do mixed methods research, so qualitative and quantitative. So you're blending the two together. Qualitative is always kind of a fun and interesting data analysis topic because you're taking something very soft and fluffy kind of and turning it into kind of something more quantitative. But it's just, there's different coding methods and types of analyses to do that.
Tammy.
So I'm Tammy Tolson. So my question is more kind of strategic, kind of long term. So in every startup, which of course you are, there's the chicken and the egg, right? So when does it come? And for you to keep costs down, I've been working with startups for a long, long, long time. As this gentleman over here said, we don't have any money. So a lot of your products you said on your SaaS is going to be in self-serve. When do you think, realistically, knowing that you haven't even defined your own market yet, do you think that you'll have enough data to even offer a self-serve platform?
That's a good question. So bigger question is, when will I feel like I have enough data to be able to offer that as a product or a service to the community? Well, fortunately, there are statistical formulas. So because there's less than 1 million individuals within Tulsa, it sounds a little silly, but as long as I get 300 people on the platform, that's enough to get statistically significant results. So I would lean into that, but would certainly want a greater percent of the population so that every different type of resident, their voice is heard and is identifiable within that platform. So hopefully getting enough traction. I imagine that will take 6 months to a year, but very meta, I can do market research on market research and can kind of use that experience to build that into the product.
You mentioned it briefly in the presentation, but I also wonder if ethnography is really platform. It's really a question.
Yeah, it is something I thought about. It is one of the most time intensive and resource intensive ways of doing research. Okay, so the question was, how does ethnographic or could ethnographic research have a play within the platform? And so I would love for it to be a part of that. That's a type of research that kind of really tickles my brain and I get excited about. But it just with the nature of how that's conducted is not quite efficient in the ways that would be good for a SaaS platform. But hopefully after there's enough data that exists on the platform, that could be layered in. Or one thing that I see is having a lot of quantitative data on the platform, think dashboards, surveys, polls, things like that. And then being able to have additional access, that's a jumping off point, but then there could be additional services where either they work with myself or someone else to conduct much more deeper dive research projects.
Anyone else? I have a quick question for you. What's your team like? Are you looking to expand? Are you looking to create some job opportunities? One question. The other question is around your go-to-market strategy. So like, how do you plan to, I know what you're doing in terms of research, but how do you plan to go to market in terms of a business standpoint?
Yeah, so the question was, what is my company makeup, and then kind of go-to-market strategy. So right now I'm the lead consultant within my company. I have 2 research assistants and a statistician who help me with these projects and help me kind of provide a good quality of work for a lot of the clients that I work with at a given time. I am actually considering hiring on someone local who I can work with one-on-one. Right now my contractors are remote. Would love to work with someone in the community as I start to work more with members in the community. So if you have kind of an intern or grad student in mind that's looking for something part-time, let me know. And in terms of go-to-market strategy, so fortunately with this type of platform, it's very easy to get started and just start getting people who are interested in taking surveys. So just simply asking people to be a part of that database and that kind of community. Can create some small engagement, asking simple questions, understanding what might the needs be within the community, just very simplistic questions to start, and then start doing actual marketing efforts to make that public, like platform public, making sure people know about it, getting them on the platform, and then talking to businesses and understanding what they might need from the platform and what they would be looking for.
Anyone else? Oh, in the back.
This is sheer curiosity, but how has your background in psychology and neuroscience affected the way that you approach market research?
Yeah, so the question was, how does a background in psychology and neuroscience impact market research? Actually, a lot of it is understanding human behavior. That comes into huge play when I'm designing studies for incentives and really the operations work. So I know people won't sign up for a study on a Friday afternoon because they've always canceled. Or I know what the best time to send emails out, or understanding what type of language needs to be introduced so that people are more interested in participating in that research. Things are much more easy for them to follow. And then when I'm doing focus groups and user interviews, I did over 3,000 one-on-one neuroscience sessions. So just have a really good play working with people. So some of those softer skills come into play a lot.
Going once? All right, let's give Haley a hand. So we're going to swap out presenters, and we have a couple of quick announcements. Tara Payne's going to come with a couple, and then Cecilia Wessinger. And then you can go and fill up some coffee. Restrooms are just down the hall. Thanks.
Thank you. How you guys enjoying this? Let's give Haley another hand. She did a great job. Okay, so if you are enjoying this, you should join us next month. Next month, March 16th, we will be doing the same thing. But maybe you don't want to be in the audience. Maybe you have an idea or a concept or a business that you'd like to share. You can do that by going to www.millioncups.com/present. That's pretty painless, right? Yeah. So speaking of presenters, we like to give an update of our previous presenters. And we're gonna have one of our previous presenters who presented in March of 2021 come up. Jason Matthew, who is the founder of Leave Me Not, gonna give us an update of what's going on now. Give him a hand.
Yeah. Hey everyone. I'm Jason Matthew. I presented last year, March 2021, on an app that I launched in February called Leave Me Not, positioned to help fight destructive digital habits. Our first use case has been focused on consuming like adult content online. We launched just on Android right now, still on Android. But just to give you an update, so over the last year, we've had some really solid organic growth, better than I imagined. And I did a pitch at the incubator, I think was in November. And I put up a slide on, okay, here's what my funnels look like. And I was a bit disappointed, and I was really encouraged by the audience. I'm like, actually, this is better than you may think. So all that's to say, we've had over 1,500 users find Leave Me Not and install it and use it on their phones. But right now, my active install base is about 250 to 300. So kind of focused on figuring out retention. But what I'm most excited about is that we were just accepted into a high-tech accelerator out of Cincinnati called Ocean. So the kickoff is going to be in Cincinnati the week after next. It's 16 weeks, 3 weeks in person, the rest is virtual. So I'm excited to see what comes from that, and after the 4 months determine, hey, do I shut down or do I keep going? And that'll set us up to raise a round if the guidance is to keep pushing forward. So thanks again, everyone, for your encouragement over the last year, and I'm excited to see what happens next. Thanks.
I'm proud of Jason. As Aaron mentioned, we're gonna have Cecilia come up and tell us a bit about South by Southwest. Just give her a hand.
I'll tell you a little bit about my shirt in a second. So thanks for coming. This is a great turnout. I started in the audience at 1 Million Cups many years ago as somebody who was curious and thinking about starting a business. And then I ended up pitching, presenting at 1 Million Cups, and then I became a lead organizer. And so, see, this is where your life is going to go, just so you know. And then I took a hard pivot from being an entrepreneur to an ecosystem builder. So those paths are available for you. Just curious, how many people in here are founders or looking at starting up? How many people work for an ESO, an entrepreneur support organization? How many people are ecosystem builders just trying to connect? There's a bunch of you in here. So a couple of things. Back in 1987 in Austin, Texas, a couple of people got together and said we should plan a party. And if you have, how many people have heard of South by Southwest? Great. How many people have been? Excellent. Well, I plan to be there this year. It takes place March 11th through the 20th. The badges get you into some of those really cool events, whether it's film, innovation, there's music, and all kinds of different creative outlets. But you don't have to have a badge in order to experience and enjoy South by Southwest. So I've gone without a badge. I've gone with a badge. I've tried to go when it was canceled, and we still got together and hung out. So I would strongly promote going there. If you cannot make it to South by Southwest, you can watch some of the events on FanSub. And Tulsa this year will be the only city that I think is ever presented for 2 days. So you will have founders and musicians and all kinds of creatives that represent the city of Tulsa that are going to be down there, and you can watch on the FanSub app if you'd like to find out. So keep that in mind. And then for all of you who are looking at other ways to get involved, after South by Southwest, there's a Global Entrepreneurship Congress. I'm really honored to be able to go again this year. And if you can't get to Riyadh, and come hang out with me and 2,000 other ecosystem builders from around the country or the world, sign up for the next one. I can't tell you where the next one will be, but it will be really cool. So entrepreneurs go. If you're an entrepreneur thinking about competing in a global competition, the Entrepreneur World Cup will start taking submissions, and you can sign up to do that. It doesn't matter where you are, and they award millions of dollars. If you're an ecosystem builder like me, this is where that shirt comes from. Startup Champions Network. We're having an in-person summit in Durham, North Carolina. It's where the Black Belt ecosystem builders come hang out, kind of the OGs of ecosystem building. We get to explore an environment learn a little bit about what they're doing, and learn from each other. So it's a peer network of ecosystem builders, and that's the 4th through the 6th in Durham, North Carolina, the Research Triangle. If you're part of a co-working space, accelerator, incubator, INBIA, the International Business Innovation Association, I can never remember all of that, is meeting in late April. And then there's the Shifts Conference, which is if you're interested in social impact entrepreneurship, whether you're a funder or an innovator, that takes place virtually in May from the 18th to the 20th. So that's basically what I know that's going on. Are you ready to go?
I have a question here.
Yes.
I have a question on Southwest. I looked at the agenda,
Mhm.
and it looks like everything current. So they used to do like interactive, then music, and then
So
film, and serial.
from what I know, I think the innovation part is the 11th through about the 14th or so, which is when they're presenting the start of the year things, and then the other stuff is kind of all along, and then film is focused on the end, but there are some events. So yeah, there's an app that you can go on, or the schedule. They're announcing more people every day.
Thanks, Cecilia. So we have another, our second presenter. Now, all this time I didn't have there we go. All right. We have a second presenter here who is coming with his company. He has a couple co-founders, but this young man is a senior at ORU, and his co-founders are also in college as well. And so he's the only one that was able to brave the storm out here and get here to present to you. But please put your hands together as we have, excuse me, as we have Isaac present his business. Let's give him a hand, you all.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity to present my business idea. So essentially, I'm working on a fitness application called Perfect Form, and it uses the help of artificial intelligence to act as a personal trainer. So Perfect Form is your own personal trainer inside your pocket. We offer technology that helps maximize safety, efficiency, and performance. So with the show of hands, how many of you have ever had an injury of some sort or know someone who has had an injury of some sort, especially one where you've had to go to physical therapy? Yeah, as I thought. So physical health is an issue that affects everyone. So every year in the United States alone, there's over 300 million physical therapy visits. And a lot of these injuries can be prevented with proper training. However, a lot of people don't have access to this proper training, and trying to go it alone may actually lead to further injury. So take me as an example. When I played sports, I actually tore my ACL, which is probably one of the most brutal injuries any athlete can suffer. And to this day, I actually still feel some of the effects of that. So if I had a good trainer who could help me prevent some of these muscular imbalances that led to my injury, that could have saved me, so much pain, so much, money, and when it comes to physical therapy and surgery and all that. So I actually did a survey with potential customers, and I asked them how many of them had suffered a non-contact injury. So these are the types of injuries that can and should be prevented, and over half of them said that they had. And I also asked them how many, what they would be willing to pay to support their fitness journey per month. And they said $25 per month. And that falls way short of the cost of a personal trainer, which is about $50 for just an hour. And they also said that 62% of them said that they would hire a personal trainer if they had the funds. So the problem isn't perceived importance, it's simply cost. So with in-person training being so expensive, and with most fitness apps not really bringing the true value that an in-person trainer brings, the solution is that solution is perfect. So for only $9.99 a month, Perfect Form uses video recognition technology and machine learning to essentially act as a personal trainer. And it watches every rep during an exercise and ensures that it's done with, well, perfect form, just like a personal trainer would. And inform users when exercises are done incorrectly and offer feedback on how to improve. We're also going to automatically create and adjust the user's workout plan based off their preferences and metrics, as well as give them a dietitian meal plan. So this is going to be our intellectual property. And finally, Perfect Form is going to help connect people. So it'll allow people to share their progress with family and friends, as well as compete for in-app prizes as individuals amongst the group. And 5 months of all these features will cost the same as 1 hour with an in-person. So here's actually a video demonstration of what we have on the prototype. Modeling a bicep curl. So obviously I have the weight, so I'm able to execute these correctly. Let's see what happens when I start using momentum as if I had too much weight on. So we've estimated that our market size for the United States is $4.4 billion. We got to this number by taking the global fitness industry and then segmenting it to just global fitness mobile app industry, and then breaking it down even further to just include the United States numbers with these categories you see here. Our primary market will be middle-class fitness enthusiasts. So essentially people who are aged 16 to 55 who want to start or continue their fitness journey. Some market trends recently, obviously we know COVID-19 and the pandemic. So with that, we've seen fitness app downloads increase by about 44%. However, the fitness app market is still projected to grow at 21.6% for the next 6 years. So even as COVID hopefully comes to an end, this is not projected to slow. So here's some competitor analysis. So essentially we want to have a lot of the same key benefits as our competitors. However, where we're going to have an edge is with our exercise correction, real-time feedback, as well as adjusted workouts after every session. So essentially, say somebody does a workout and they do amazing, it's really easy. Now we'll make the next workout harder, and vice versa if they were struggling that workout. So we believe that this brings a better approximation of the true value of an in-person training. So here's our timeline. We plan to finish up the prototype this month and then start on the beta build in March. And then in year 2, we plan to finish up the beta build. Year 3, release it to the App Store. Year 4, gather 100,000 installs and start conducting research on Perfect Form and how it helps people. And then year 5, take this research track record and start approaching physical therapy clinics and high schools and universities to try to license them. So here's the team. There's me, CEO and software engineer. Zechariah Tay is our CTO and software engineer working on the product. Nathan Musgrove is our COO and head of marketing. And part of our advising team, we have John Patel, who's an experienced software engineer who has years of building and scaling applications. Chip Fudge is the owner of several successful businesses and will bring expertise on the operations side. For Prospective Partnerships, I've actually reached out to Ben Patrick. He's the CEO of Athletic Truth Group, and he trains thousands of clients globally. He loves our idea and is open to the possibility of possibly partnering with us. And our partners reached out to Dr. Brown of Arrowhead Clinic, which has 17 locations in 2 states, and he obviously has connections to a lot of physical therapists. But here's some quotes from potential customers and endorsers. So in summary, Perfect Form is going to be the world's most intelligent fitness application. It's the best approximation of a personal trainer in your pocket that will help users reach their fitness goals and optimize performance. So, thank you guys. Essentially, all I have to ask the community is just any feedback on how to improve. Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's give him another hand. All right, let's kick this off. Alan, in the back.
It's something that existing like personal trainers would be able to incorporate into their own programs.
Yeah, so that's actually something that we've thought about, and originally I wanted there to be 2 sides.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh yeah, so basically is, are we gonna incorporate something for personal trainers to use with Perfect Form? So yeah, that's something that I've thought about, and originally when I was marketing it was gonna be, you know, Perfect Form for the fitness enthusiasts who don't wanna deal with having a personal trainer. And then the other side for online trainers, where they can get all the metrics and data from Perfect Form and use that to basically save time and give their clients good training while spending less time with each individual client. However, some of the feedback that we got was that people felt like it was a little too much at once, and they were kind of unsure of what our actual product was. So for right now, we're just focusing on the side.
In the back.
I may have missed this, but is there a way we can sign up for updates?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, he asked if there's a way you can sign up for updates. Like updates on how we're doing, or
Or when we can download it when it's ready?
Good question.
I guess follow me on social media. Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow me on social
I'll get it
media.
done.
Posting about it. Yeah.
Right here and then right here.
So I'm curious, after it tracks the movement, I remember it saying that it offers feedback and then presents like an example of how to do it correctly. How does that happen on the screen? I'm just kind of curious, is it verbal feedback, or is it like showing with the lines and whatnot, or do you have like an avatar that?
Right. Yeah. So that's one of the things that we're actually
Can you
working
repeat the
on.
question?
Yeah. So he was asking how we're gonna actually give the feedback to the user on how to improve. So that was one of the things that we're gonna add to our pitch deck. It's like a promo video showing how the finished version would actually look like. So essentially, they would get the feedback on the screen, just something really short, like, for example, don't lean too far to the side, and then they'll get a verbal feedback saying, hey, try this, and then, for example, let's say like 5 of those reps were counted as incorrect. Then it'll give another cue of how to improve it. And then at the end, it'll show, okay, you had this rep incorrect, this rep incorrect, this rep incorrect. Here's what you can do to improve. And here's a link to the video from our exercise library of how to do it.
In the back, or right here?
Yeah, so I see that you're planning for a standalone ad right now, but it's easy to look at the white space and see what you have and none of your other competitors have. And I'm curious if you consider like a bundle strategy instead, where maybe you add your technology like your or one of your competitors that already have like pretty strong in the market.
Right, so the question was essentially thinking about taking our technology, kind of partnering with like another app or.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
integrating it into
Yeah.
an existing brand, I guess, as an upgrade product.
Yeah, so that is something that we are kind of thinking about. I'm thinking of that as more of the exit strategy kind of thing. We are trying to get contact with the people from Mirror and kind of talk to them a little bit about, see what they think.
Yeah, I saw on your deck there that one of your first orders of this is to kind of reach out to personal trainers. Now, how do you envision that happening? For yourself as kind of competition with them, or are you just addressing the market segment that is not available for them? What's your thought process?
Right. So the question was addressing the personal trainers, essentially how we're gonna integrate that. So this is before, when we first started, we wanted to have the side for personal trainers because we don't want to leave them out. I still feel that personal trainers are essential. We're just trying to be an approximation of their value and cost. So with that, we're still going to try to contact them, get them to use the app, because that is a way for us to actually test our beta versions before we release it. Say we get one personal trainer that has 10, 50 clients. That's way quicker way to increase the people using the app and testing it versus trying to recruit 50 individuals.
Right here in the back and then bring it in.
I have a question regarding, like, I guess the kind of the financials and the projections for that. Kind of like, is that going to look like fundraising and stuff, or, and then how quickly and how much do you expect it to grow? Is one question, and then another one was, you said one of the things that you were looking at reaching for like physical therapy clinics, and so my question to that was like, will it kind of be like a substitution for like the physical therapy? Because I'm kind of seeing two sides of like physical therapy and then also like training. So does that second question make sense? About whether it'll be a substitution?
Yeah. I'll address the second one first. So he was asking how our app will essentially target and help when it comes to physical therapy. So I would want our app to kind of be like an add-on. So with physical therapy, most people only go about twice a week. And unless you're like an elite athlete, you can't go every day. So they expect you to do the rest at home. So the app will kind of help when it comes to the at-home part of the rehab. What was the other question again?
The other question was about like the financial projection, like how much do you think will be, required to start it up and everything? What do you think like revenue will look like in 5 years?
Right. So he was basically asking about our financial projections. So I didn't have this part on this pitch deck, but essentially we were putting our ask at 300,000, and that would basically be for operations, marketing, as well as bringing on machine learning engineer to help us producing this technology. And essentially, we have our pre-release stage to be 18 months from when we would have received it. And then after that 18 months would, I guess, kind of start fiscal year 1. And fiscal year 1, we plan to make a slight profit. And then from FY2 and FY3 is where it'll start really jumping.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, I was wondering if you experimented at all or thought about creating a more human-like avatar, integrating that into it, or like human-like voices. Alexa, the research I've read seems to indicate that increases motivation quite a bit. Also, you mentioned clinics. How about gyms themselves, like something like goals. You know, a lot of people go to the gym, and I remember back then, just would get, I stopped going because I didn't know what to do. I couldn't afford a trainer. That seems like something you could bundle into a gym membership. Like they might purchase like organizational membership or something like that, and then just add it on to their gym membership as a perk. Like, oh, you get a free app to help you at the gym. I'd go to that gym over one that didn't provide it.
Yeah, thank you a lot for that suggestion. It's definitely something. What was the question before that?
Oh, just creating a more human-like interface or AI, something that like engages people on a relational level, kind of like using like language that's more empathetic, or even having like a physical form like an avatar. Read some papers where they've done that with fitness apps, and that increases people's motivation and longevity of performing this exercise.
This question was essentially, would we have like an avatar, some type of motivational voice for our app? So for the avatar, I'm not sure, at least about right now for the original. However, we will have a voice that gives verbal feedback when someone is doing an exercise. So say, you know, they're focusing on their exercise, they're not really looking at the screen, they can still hear the feedback.
Rental?
Two-part question. First is, do you have any physical training or personal training background yourself? And then the second part of the question is on your go-to-market strategy, you had about a 5-year kind of fully market integration. Is that something that you all are open to accelerating, or is that, what is your thoughts around that timeline?
Right. So he was asking about our go-to-market strategy, our timeline. And yeah, so actually originally we actually had our timeline a little faster. And I'm still thinking I want to get a release in 2023. Somebody told us that was a little too ambitious, so we adjusted it. I'm still playing around with the timeline. But at the end of the day, it'll be released when it's done and it's good. What was the other question?
Do you have any personal training background?
Yes, I do. I am an ISSA certified.
All the way in the back.
Have you considered a free data release earlier on that you essentially foster large customer base to get more?
Yeah, so he was asking about, have we considered a free beta release? That was a question?
Yeah.
So yes, our beta version will allow people to test out for free. And that's going to be more so for like ironing out any bugs, making sure that our technology is accurate and good. And I feel like we would try to get a lot of personal trainers for that. Just because if you get one person, you could essentially get like 10+ people who are using the app.
Anyone else? All right, let's give Oscar a hand. Someone put a mic down so fast. He got off the hot seat. Wow. All right. Well, we welcome you back to 1 Million Cups next month, March 16th, to join each of us. We have something, okay. March 16th, come back and visit us with 1 Million Cups. This is a wonderful aggregation of people. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and pass the mic to Tara.
Thank you. I feel like some shady guesses back again. So thank you, Cecilia, for letting me know this. This week is actually National Entrepreneurship Week. So February 12th through the 19th is National Entrepreneurship Week. And there's also an accelerator called PI, which you are able to apply to. PI is a program that is predicated on providing founders with access to mentorship and networks they need to be successful. And they do that by focusing on what each company needs rather than being driven by a one-size-fits-all curriculum. Think of it as an independent study enabling you to focus on the issues, problems, and opportunities that matter most to you, all while being supported by a network of peers and mentors.
They've
What-
been at it over 10.
They've been at it over 2 years. So you can actually apply to this accelerator online if you want more information. You want to go to PI, as in what you eat, PIPDX.com, PIPDX.com. So
They're looking for early stage product based.
did you guys hear that? Okay, thank you. All right, that's it. Thanks for coming to Lump on Your Cups. We will see you all next month, okay? If it snows this week, just stay safe, okay? Let's hope that it doesn't. Can everybody in here collectively, like, put your energy towards it not snowing? Have a good day.